The housing crisis in the U.S., caused by high demand, low supply, rising prices, and affordability issues for many buyers, especially millennials. The U.S. is facing a severe housing shortage that is driving up the cost of homeownership and making it unaffordable for millions of Americans. According to a study by Up for Growth, a nonprofit research group, the nation is 3.8 million homes short of meeting its housing needs. This gap is most acute among affordable homes, where low and moderate income renters, younger first-time homebuyers, and people of color are losing out on the opportunity to build wealth and stability through owning a home. The housing crisis has multiple causes, but one of the main ones is the lack of new construction. After the last housing crash in 2008, many homebuilders went out of business or scaled back their production. As a result, the per capita rate of new single-family homes plummeted and has remained at about half that of the preceding 4 decades. Meanwhile, the population has grown and the demand for housing has increased, creating a mismatch between supply and demand. Another factor contributing to the housing crisis is the rising cost of land, labor, and materials. These costs have made it more expensive and less profitable for builders to construct new homes, especially at the lower end of the market. Builders have focused on building larger and more expensive homes that cater to higher-income buyers, leaving behind those who need more affordable options. The housing crisis has serious consequences for the economy and society. It makes it harder for some people to buy their first home and for others to afford their rent. It increases the demand for subsidized housing and widens the wealth gap between renters and homeowners. It also limits mobility and opportunity for workers who cannot find affordable housing near their jobs or in areas with better schools and services. Some experts have warned that the housing crisis could worsen if Congress fails to address it in its infrastructure and social spending bills. They have called for more federal funding and incentives for building affordable housing, as well as reforms to local zoning rules that restrict density and diversity of housing types. They have also advocated for expanding access to reliable and affordable financing tools for low and moderate income buyers, such as down payment assistance, low-interest loans, and tax credits. The housing crisis in the U.S. is a complex and urgent problem that requires a comprehensive and coordinated solution. By increasing the supply of affordable homes and making them accessible to more buyers, especially millennials, who are the future of the housing market, we can help millions of Americans achieve their dream of homeownership and create a more equitable and prosperous society. The challenges faced by home builders, such as delays in construction, shortages of materials and labor, and rising costs. Home building is a complex and demanding industry that requires careful planning, coordination, and execution. However, in recent years, home builders have faced unprecedented challenges that have disrupted their operations and affected their profitability. Some of these challenges include delayed project completions. Home builders have to deal with longer and unpredictable delivery times for essential materials and components, such as windows, insulation, electrical breakers, and appliances. These delays can cause significant setbacks in the construction schedule and increase the risk of losing customers or facing penalties. Shortages of materials and labor. Home builders have to cope with the limited availability and rising prices of key building materials, such as lumber, steel, concrete, and gypsum. These shortages are driven by various factors, such as supply chain disruptions, trade disputes, environmental regulations, and increased demand from other sectors. Moreover, home builders have to compete for skilled and experienced workers in a tight labor market, which can result in higher wages and lower productivity. Rising costs. Home builders have to absorb the increased costs of materials, labor, land, financing, and compliance without compromising on quality or customer satisfaction. These costs can erode their profit margins and make it harder to price their homes competitively in the market. Additionally, home builders have to deal with the uncertainty and volatility of interest rates, inflation, and consumer preferences. These challenges have put immense pressure on home builders to adapt and innovate in order to survive and thrive in the industry. In the next section, we will explore how home builders have found a solution to the housing nightmare by adopting new technologies, strategies, and practices. The housing crisis is a global problem that affects millions of people who struggle to find affordable and adequate homes. But some home builders have found innovative solutions to address this challenge and meet the growing demand for housing. In this section, we will explore some of these solutions, such as limiting sales, diversifying housing types, adopting innovative technologies, and partnering with local governments and communities. One solution that some home builders have adopted is limiting sales until they can build more homes. This strategy helps them avoid overselling their inventories and creating unrealistic expectations for home buyers. It also gives them more pricing power and allows them to take advantage of the high home prices in the market. For example, Green Brick Partners, a home builder in the U.S., has intentionally delayed selling homes because they know that demand is going to be there. Another solution that some home builders have pursued is diversifying housing types to cater to different segments of the market. For instance, some home builders have focused on building condominiums, which are a potential stepping stone for first-time buyers and require less land and materials than single-family homes. However, condo lending restrictions have been a barrier for this option in some countries. Other home builders have explored manufactured housing, which is prefabricated in factories and assembled on site. Manufactured housing can be cheaper, faster, and more energy efficient than traditional housing. A third solution that some home builders have implemented is adopting innovative technologies that can improve the efficiency and quality of construction. For example, some home builders have used 3D printing, robotics, drones, and artificial intelligence to design, build, and monitor homes. These technologies can reduce costs, waste, errors, and delays in the construction process. They can also create more customized and sustainable homes that meet the needs and preferences of homebuyers. A fourth solution that some home builders have engaged in is partnering with local governments and communities to address the housing crisis. This involves collaborating on policies, regulations, incentives, and programs that can facilitate the development of affordable housing. For example, some home builders have received subsidies, tax credits, land grants, or reduced fees from local authorities to build affordable homes. Some home builders have also worked with community organizations, nonprofits, or social enterprises to provide housing solutions for low-income or vulnerable groups. These are some of the solutions that some home builders have found to tackle the housing crisis. By limiting sales, diversifying housing types, adopting innovative technologies, and partnering with local governments and communities, they have been able to create more affordable and adequate homes for people who need them. However, these solutions are not enough to solve the housing crisis completely. More efforts are needed from all stakeholders, including policymakers, developers, lenders, investors, and consumers, to ensure that everyone has access to decent housing.